gals, Mama Bear here with a daily dash of life. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to send you a very big welcome. And if you're one of my 12-gallon cup drinkers, welcome back. We're still in beautiful Colorado, and the sky is so clear today that I see the Twin Peaks so well as the other Rocky Mountains. I can just look out my window and see all that beauty. It's so wonderful. Because I have to cook in such a small space, I've been trying to keep things simple. The other day, I made a non-traditional pork pot roast in a slow cooker, and now I'm turning those leftovers into different meals. I was supposed to make a fresh pot of beans and a fresh batch of rice after I got back from the store yesterday. But to be perfectly honest, these 7-month pregnant cankles needed a rest. So those are the beans cooking behind me now. And because I have to take it easy this week, I'm gonna make the rice tomorrow. I'm not gonna exert myself today. I'm not gonna overdo it. I'm already tired from the day. So I'm just gonna put it off until tomorrow. We'll have beans and we'll have our no fuss meals to go with those beans. If you saw my pot roast video already, you know that GochujangMama also made a pot roast video this week. And with her leftovers, she made a thick and hearty pasta sauce. It looks so delicious. I'll have her video as well as my pot roast video in the description box below. And I'll also include her leftovers video for you. The first way I'm spicing up my leftovers is the simplest way. All I'm going to do is pull my pot roast apart and microwave it for 30 seconds and heat up some corn tortillas for between 15 and 30 seconds. I just stuff my tortillas with shredded pot roast and top it with salsa, sour cream, and cilantro. You can use whatever you have on hand. Sometimes I have fresh cabbage, so I will shred it and add salt and pepper, lemon or lime juice, whichever one I have at the time, fresh diced tomatoes, and then use that as my topping. And other times I will saute peppers and onions and add that to the top. Like I said, just use what you have on hand. Papa Bear likes for his taco meat to have a crisp to it, so I heat up some oil. I like to use peanut oil for that extra crisp and flavor, but you can just use vegetable oil. I shred the pork pot roast meat just like I did before, and I put it in the pan with the hot oil. I will give the meat time to not only heat up, but I will keep it in the hot oil until it has browned and crisped to Papa's liking. Then I just stuff the meat in a tortilla, add some lemon or lime juice, and toss on some cilantro. Or you can even add some cheese on top. I have made quesadillas so many times using leftover pot roast meat. I also turn dinner into breakfast by shredding and heating up the pot roast meat and scrambling up some eggs. I season my eggs with a little bit of Goya adobo and add some milk. Then I add the meat to a pan with the eggs and cook them. I can eat the eggs as is, or I can make a breakfast taco with them. I must say, I just love me a pot roast omelet. I'm going to add some oil spray to my pan. Then I'm going to add a thin layer of my seasoned and beaten eggs to the pan. I don't like using a thick layer because I feel like the egg gets dried out and I can't stand a dried out omelet. Next, I will cover my eggs with some cheese. I switch the cheese up so much. I add my pot roast to one side, and today I will be adding some fresh tomatoes, some sriracha, and some cilantro. I love using fresh veggies in my omelets. I will leave the link in the description box below for my other omelet. You can just serve some fresh rice and beans. Because I am pressed for time, instead of cooking my beans in a crock pot, I will be making them on the stovetop today. If you have time to soak your beans, go ahead and do that overnight, or at least a few hours before you decide to cook them. You don't have to soak them, but I have found that they get softer faster when I do soak them. So if I have the chance, I'm gonna soak them overnight. I fill my pot with water, not too high because the water can overflow when you add the beans. I set my heat on high, add salt to the water, then I just cover it with a lid. I cover it with a lid to allow the water to heat faster. Then after draining my beans, I add them to the warm water. When the water comes to a boil, I set my timer for an hour and I lower my heat to a medium high. When my hour is nearly up, I cook some chunks of bacon. I use center cut bacon because it has the right amount of fat for my taste. The cooked bacon along with its grease will go into your bean pot. Depending on the amount of beans you will be making will depend on how much bacon you will use. I typically make 4 pounds of beans at once, so I use a whole package of bacon. But today, I'm only making 2 pounds, so I'm only using half a package of center cut bacon. Once I have added the bacon along with its grease to my pot of beans, I will again cover the pot and set my timer for an hour. When my hour is up, I will add some seeded and roughly chopped jalapenos to the pot, as well as some big chunks of roughly chopped onions. I use 4 whole jalapenos for my full batch, and since I'm only making half a batch today, I'm only using 3. When I only use 2, I find myself wanting more. I'm using 1 whole white onion. For some reason, I like big chunks of roughly chopped veggies in my beans. When I add my jalapenos and onions, I add my first round of seasonings. I typically add pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder, but because I'm on the road and forgot my other seasonings, I'm only going to add pepper at this time. I didn't add salt because I already added it earlier to give it time to soak into my beans. Now I'm going to set my timer for another hour. When my hour is up, I add in my big chunks of fresh tomato. I usually use a whole tomato, but I have most of one left that I had used earlier for my omelet, so I'm just going to use that. Cover and cook for another 30 minutes. After those 30 minutes, I do a taste test. I check the juice for flavor. If it is missing something, then I add my round 2 of seasonings. I also check my beans for consistency to make sure they are the texture I desire. Soft, but not mushy. If you know me, you know the juice is my favorite part. Today, everything was spot on during my taste test. So, time to add my cilantro and I'm done. Just look at that beautiful bean footage. Time to serve with your leftovers tacos or leftovers omelet. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you got some inspiration on some no-fuss meals that you can create to spice up your leftovers. Toodles! This has been Mama Bear with a Daily Dash of Life. And as always, don't forget to spice up yours. May God bless you. Thanks for watching. To subscribe, click my watermark and click any video icon for more videos or to start a playlist. Check out bonus footage at Instagram and Twitter at A Daily Dash of Life. Toodles!